How much would you need to invest into Coca-Cola in order to retire? Now, that's what we're going to be looking at in today's video, and we're going to be looking at it at a few different points. So we're going to have our minimum wage, our pension, our middle class earners and our upper class earners. And it's not just for the UK, we've actually got some people from America. So what I've done is, America watching the videos that is, so what I've done is I've combined both of the pensions divided by 2 to give us kind of a transatlantic pension. And I've done the same with the minimum wage, the middle class earnings and the upper class earnings to give us a bit of an average. So that's what we're going to be looking at in today's video. How much would you need to invest in Coca-Cola in order to retire at different price points? Let's get into it. Okay guys, so like I was saying before, I've combined both the UK and the US in a few different areas. So that is minimum wage, middle class wage, the upper class earnings and the pension for both countries. And then I've combined them, divided by 2 to give us what I'm calling like a transatlantic average. That'll be a transatlantic minimum wage, a transatlantic middle class earning wage, a transatlantic upper class wage and pension as well. So let's get into it now. So I'll run through it really quickly so you know why I got to these numbers. So the minimum wage in the UK currently stands at £11.44p or $14.47. Now in America it is a lot less. The minimum wage in the US is currently $7.25 or £5.73p. But those industries are heavily based around tipping, so people will tip, like service people. So if you're working behind a bar or in a restaurant, it's customary to tip and that would top up your wages. But we're going to imagine that you have the worst customers in the world, you receive no tips and you're just living on minimum wage. So in that example, the transatlantic minimum wage will be £8.58p or $10.68. Which gives us about an annual salary of around £16,731 or $21,000. Now, we're going to be looking at exactly how much you would need to invest into Coca-Cola in order to achieve that number. Now, I've done the same with the middle class wage, so I've come to an average here of around £43,000, with middle class wage in the UK, I think to be around 40,000. And a middle class wage in the US I think to be around £47,000 or $60,000. Now the upper class wage is a little different, so what I've used an example for the upper class wage is the top 5% of earners. Now in the UK, to be in the top 5% of earners, you would need £82,000 per year or $103,000. That's the top 5%. However, in America you would need $200,000 or £158,000 to be in that top 5%, which is a huge difference. So the average here is £120,000 or $151,000 to be in that transatlantic upper class wage. So, and I forgot to mention guys, we've also going to be covering the pension as well. So the pension in the UK currently stands at around £11,500 and in the US it is $12,396 or around $9,800. Now, sorry guys, camera just cut out, but we're back again and this time we're using a bit of a better microphone. So fingers crossed it'll be a bit better now. Now where do we get to? The pension. So the pension at the minute in the UK, like we just mentioned, is £11,500 and in the US it's $12,396 or £9,800. Now that is the minimum social security benefit, so that will be $1,033 per month for those with at least 30 years of work, and that is what we're going to be using for the pension in America. Now there are different socio-economic factors that go into this, for instance a 401k and things like this, and I think people in the US are probably a little bit more conditioned to put away for their future and contribute to a 401k, where in the UK we're probably a little bit more earn it now, spend it now kind of culture, which is pretty bad. But the numbers that we're going to be using for the pension are going to be that, the minimum social security benefit in the US and the state pension in the UK. Now those two things combined give us an average here, so the average transatlantic pension of £10,650 or about $13,500. Now I must say this guys, that don't take what I'm saying as gospel. This video is purely for entertainment purposes. I've just gone on what Coca-Cola has done in the past, and what a company's done in the past is no indication of what it might do in the future, but it's good for this video and it's good for a bit of entertainment to give you an idea of what you might need. So over the last 5 years, Coca-Cola has risen in price by 14.34%. Now that gives us an average of 2.86% per year. Now they also have a dividend payment, currently paying at 3.06% per year, and they pay out 4 times a year. On the 1st of April, no, that's not a joke, that's when they pay, on July 1st, on October 1st, and on December 15th. Now, again, don't take what I'm saying as gospel, just for entertainment purposes. So let's start with the first initial investment of £10,000 just to see where that gets us. So using the numbers that we've just mentioned, over the course of the year that would pay us out somewhere in the region of £592, with 286 coming from our expected stock growth and around 306 coming from dividend payments that pay out throughout the year there. So now we're going to ramp it up just a little bit. So now let's ramp that investment up to £25,000 to see where we stand now. So again, using the same numbers, that would get us somewhere in the region of £1,480, and that is split 715 from expected stock growth and around 765 from dividend payments throughout the year. Now this means that we are around 14% of the way to our first milestone, which of course is that transatlantic pension that we mentioned earlier of £10,650. Now next we're going to be stepping up quite a bit. So the next big jump, we're going to be investing quite a lot into Coca-Cola. So £180,000 to see where that puts us in relation to some of the targets that we've set out. So with an investment of 180,000, we'd be looking at around 10,656, which is our first milestone, and that's the first milestone of the transatlantic pension ticked off. Now, so we've got in the bag. Let's take a look at the breakdown of where that money is coming from. Now we'll get around 5,148 from expected stock growth and around 5,508 from our dividend payments throughout the year. Now we're also around 64% of the way to ticking off our next transatlantic mini wage milestone. So that's the minimum wage milestone there, and we're 64% of the way to ticking that off. Now next up, we're going to be looking at an even bigger investment to see where that puts us. Okay, so the next investment is going to be £290,000 into Coca-Cola. So with an investment of £290,000, we'd be looking at £17,168. Using the numbers that we've just mentioned, the breakdown would be as follows. So we'd get about 8,294 from expected stock growth and around 8,874 from dividend payments throughout the year. That's them 4 payments throughout the year that we've just mentioned. Now at this point, we're also around 40% of the way to unlocking our transatlantic middle class income at 43,750. But at this point, with an investment of 290,000, we are there with our minimum wage milestone. So let's step that investment up again to see where we land. So this time we'll be looking at an investment of £750,000 into Coca-Cola to see if we can unlock some more milestones here. So with an investment of 750k, using the numbers that we spoke about before, we can expect around £44,400 per year, with 21,450 coming from our expected stock growth and around 22,950 coming from our 4 dividend payments throughout the year. Now this means that we've unlocked the middle class wage badge. Enjoy all them ski trips. Now it also means that we're about 37% of the way to our transatlantic upper class wage. But now we're going to move on and step it up. Now we're going to be looking at an investment of 2.1 million into Coca-Cola, which is an eye-watering amount of money. You would need to love the lemon, the cherry and the vanilla flavours of Coke. It's just an unparalleled love for Coca-Cola at this point. Now the breakdown of that investment is equally as eye-watering. So with an investment of 2.1 million, you would be looking at 60,000 of expected stock growth and around 64,300 in dividend payments throughout the year, giving us just over 124,000 per year and unlocking that upper class wage, or that transatlantic upper class wage. So they're the numbers, guys. That is what you would roughly need to retire at different price points if you were just to invest into Coca-Cola. Now obviously, don't put all your eggs in one basket, have a diversified portfolio and all the rest you guys know. This video is just for entertainment purposes and gives you an idea of what you'd need to retire at different price points if the numbers from the past are going to be the same in the future, which is very rarely the case. But if you have enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and I will see you guys again in that one right there where I took my first baby steps into the stock market.